As a transit nerd who grew up in the New York City borough of Queens, I strongly believe that the borough should have at least one north south subway line. There is a proposal for one, and the proposal is under threat. But before I explain the proposal and why it's under threat, I should step back and explain why I think we need a north south subway line in the borough of Queens. Queens is the second most populous borough and by far the most populous city in the entire United States. Only Brooklyn has more people. And, despite that fact, there is no north south subway line in Queens. The lack of a north south subway line is not due to a lack of demand on the borough's north south corridors, though. In fact, several of the borough's north south corridors have among the highest ridership bus corridors in the entire city. Rather, is that the subway system is for the most part frozen in the 1930s, with relatively minimal expansion since World War II. There is an effort to address the high demand for north-south transit in Queens. There's a proposal to build a north-south rail line using the path set out by trackage previously built but abandoned. That path would divert from the Queens Boulevard line just southeast of the 63rd Drive Rego Park station and continue southward, just east of one of the busiest bus corridors in the entire city. That north-south corridor, for the record, is the Woodhaven and Cross Bay Boulevard corridor. And the proposal to do this whole rail thing is called Queens Link. So, there's a need for a north-south subway in Queens, and a proposal to build one near one of the borough's busiest transit corridors. So what could possibly be wrong? Well, what is wrong is that there is another proposal for the aforementioned path. That proposal is to turn it into trails, and only trails. Kind of similar to the High Line in Manhattan. This proposal is called Queens Way. Queens Link, in contrast, has both rails and trails. Given that Mayor Zoran Mamdani's preliminary budget has money for Queens Way rather than Queens Link, despite his previous support for Queens Link, I want to add my voice, as both a transit advocate and as someone who grew up in the area. And my voice says this: I support Queens Link, and say no way to Queens Way. Here's why. While I support improved walking and biking infrastructure, the numbers show that prioritizing walking and biking infrastructure without having improved public transit infrastructure as well is an utterly ridiculous idea. Those numbers, by the way, are from New York City's own Environment and Health Data Portal, which has estimates on how many people travel to and from work by different modes of transport. And the number skews so much in public transit's direction that it gave me bemused laughs. A few neighborhood samplings of data, albeit data that's a few years old as it's from the 2017 to 2021 period, shows the following. In Woodhaven, close to 11,000 people in that neighborhood were estimated to take public transit. In contrast, 798 people walked to work, and 43 people biked to work. In Richmond Hill, estimates showed that over 7,700 people took public transit to work, while 907 people walked to work, and 84 people biked to work. And in South Richmond Hill, 5,400 people took public transit to work, 782 people walked to work, and a truly earth-shattering one person biked to work. One person. Like, even if this were rails versus trails, which this technically isn't, since Queens Link includes both, it is frankly ludicrous that some policymakers would prioritize the singular person who biked to work in South Richmond Hill at the expense of the 5,400 people who took public transit to work. While I get the fact that a lot of people bike or walk for recreation rather than travel to or from work, The fact is that the bread and butter of any transit system is getting people to and from work. And I think it's important to build a vision for this abandoned rail corridor that reflects how the people in this area travel to and from work, which, in many cases, is public transit, not biking and not walking. As a semi relevant tangent, I think this video shows the importance of forming policy based off of data rather than vibes. Would the vibes of trails without the noise of rail be great? Sure. But what do the numbers show? That the transit demand is for rail, and that we have to put improved public transit first, if we are to go with the data rather than vibes. But, given that the mayor seems to believe otherwise at the moment, despite his previous support for Queen's Link, it's important for people to voice their support for Queen's Link rather than Queen's Way. As to how to do that, there is a petition going around urging the mayor and the New York City Council to say no way to Queen's Way. I'll try and remember to leave a link to the petition in the video description below. I've signed it and urge other New York City residents listening to this video to sign as well. As for my viewers who don't live in New York City, there's an organization leading the Advocacy for Queen's Link, and you should consider donating to that organization in lieu of signing the petition. I'll also try and remember to leave a link for donations to said organization in the video description below. Donations and petitions are both important. If the mayor finds that constituents overwhelmingly support Queen's Link rather than Queen's Way, maybe we can get the mayor to actually stick with Queen's Link. If we get Queen's Link, I know that it will improve public transit for many. I know that very well, as someone whose commute to and from my high school in central Queens would have been improved if Queen's Link were there for me back in the day. And with that improved commute, would have been a little more time to study and or sleep and or do things that didn't involve studying or sleeping. Needless to say, this Queen's Way versus Queen's Link battle is personal for me, because I want future generations of Queens residents to have the transit opportunities that I would have benefited from when I was a 14 to 18-year-old kid. It's this want, this desire, that is a big motivation for my supporting Queen's Link. But, what are your thoughts on Queen's Way and Queen's Link? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to also like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content on imagining better mass transit in the United States. And once again, if you want to say yes to Queen's Link and no way to Queen's Way, please sign the petition and or donate. Thank you, and have a good day.